Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and welcome to another episode of Executions Graded. This is a series where I take a look at all the For Honor heroes' unique executions and give them a grade to decide just how good they really are. Really excited to jump into this one, you guys, but for all of you who are new and have no idea what's going on, let me quickly break it down for you. I'm going to take a look at these executions today, 3 of them to be exact, because we've had 3 Hero Fest executions that have come by. We've had Black Prior, Magi, and we're currently in the middle of Warlord, and now that we have all these 3 new executions, I have to grade them. How do I do it? Well, if you want the full rubric breakdown, take a look in the upper right-hand corner of the screen right now. You'll be led to a video called That's an Execution, where I go over my rubric and break down in full detail how I'm going to be doing this. But if you want a very quick synopsis, here's what I do. I'm going to look at these executions based on 4 criteria. Lethality, how deadly it is. Realism, how realistic it is. Efficiency, how quick and effective it is, and is it something you'd want to use on the battlefield. And cool factor, how cool is it to do and how well does it fit the character. After that, I take this and I get an average grade for that execution, and then I apply that grade to all the executions and get an average overall grade for that hero, basically like how a teacher grades on a report card. That's right, I'm going to be doing this like a teacher because I was a teacher once upon a time, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I'm excited to keep the series going. Today, like I said, we're looking at Black Prior, Magi, and Warlord. I hope you guys are excited. So, without any further ado or any time wasting, let's jump right into Black Prior first. For Black Prior, we have Fatal Hamstring. Let me see that one more time. All right, Fatal Hamstring. Okay, so, for lethality, I'm going to give this a 2. I don't think this is super lethal. Now, hear me out on this one, guys, because I know there are going to be some detractors. So the first strike goes at the hamstring behind the leg, which is fine, and then the second strike hits the torso around the abdominals and does a quick slice, which sends the body flying. Now, the flying body is deceptive. Where the blade hits is what's important here. It strikes what looks like along the abdominals, and it is a very quick slice that does not look very deep. So what does that mean? It means that the only area that could be damaged from this would be the intestinal areas or the digestive tract, which, don't get me wrong, is dangerous. You don't want to get that too heavily damaged. That can be a problem for you later on, and it can also lead to sepsis. So I'm not saying that's not a bad place to strike, but it would not be an instant kill like striking the heart, the neck, the lungs, any of those other spots would be. The way where this sword struck, I do not think would be super lethal. Could it kill later? Yeah, it might be a slower death. It might take some time. And with the hamstring shot like that, they're definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. But I don't think this would be instantly lethal. I think they'd probably be alive and in a lot of pain and crawling on the ground, but I don't think they'd be dead. And since this is a score for lethality and it is an execution, we need to take a look at whether or not this kills. I get this a lot from people. They always say, man, dude, it's not always about killing, you know, sometimes it's just about taking them down, you know, and I'm like, no, this is an execution, a finisher. I want to see them get finished. I want to see them get executed. And so unfortunately, because I do not believe this has a high likelihood of killing, I'm going to give this a 2 for lethality. For realism, though, I'm going to give this a 3. I think that there is a lot realistic about this except for one minor point. Now, the strike to the hamstring, I think, is realistic. I think that's fine. And I also think that the striking on the torso is also very realistic. All of that was fine. What doesn't work is this. Take a look from the other perspective here when Warden goes whee, like when he goes flying like that. You wouldn't go flying like that in a real execution like this, because a one-handed upward strike like that, what would actually happen is Warden would just roll. He would probably take the strike and then roll with it, or just kind of collapse like a sack of potatoes. But in this, he actually lifts off the ground. There's no way that you'd be able to do that without Warden helping you in the process. The Warden would actually have to lift himself up some in order for this to happen. Well, because keep in mind, you are lifting the weight of another human being who has a hurt hamstring and is not wanting to be lifted off the ground. So this would not happen. In fact, I'm going to tell you guys something kind of funny. Get this. The fact that he flew makes this even less likely to kill. Why? Because what it shows is that he's flying backwards with the strike, which means he's moving with the attack, meaning it's not going to go as deep. If he sat still and just took that strike and just kind of rolled as would naturally happen, that means the blade has sunk even deeper into the body because it met body resistance and his own mass. But since he went flying, it means that he actually moved with the strike, meaning he lessened the damage. So the fact that they made this guy fly means it actually hurts the lethality even more than it already did. And a lot of you may be thinking, oh, but Raven, it looks cool. We'll get to that. We will get to that. But I'm talking about realism and lethality right now. And the fact that he flew actually hurts this more than you'd think. So that is why I do not like it. But everything else about the execution is realistic. So I do have to give this a 3 for realism. Now for cool factor, sorry, I've got too ahead of myself. I wanted to get there quicker. But efficiency-wise, efficiency it is a 4. Everything about this is pretty quick and effective. Striking the hamstring is actually my favorite part about this because it ensures that no matter what happens, they're not going anywhere. They're not going to escape. They're not going to, go get help. They're not going to find medical attention really quickly. They are going to have to just lay there and suffer. Even if they are still conscious, they're not going anywhere fast. So efficiency-wise, I do like this. So that is a 4 for efficiency. Now for cool factor. Sorry about that. For cool factor, I got to give this a 3. And the reason I give this a 3 is because, again, I feel like when you combine the just flying of the warden and push it against the lethality, you realize just how much this doesn't work with itself. It just works. Literally, the lack of realism here hurts the lethality even more than it should, which really doesn't help the execution. But does it look cool? Absolutely, it looks cool. The strike of the hamstring, then the follow-up strike to the abdominal looks cool. It does look cool, and it does kind of fit Blackprior's whole idea of quick and kill. But at the same time, I feel like with Blackprior, you've got this individual who is an emissary of dark justice, an emissary of darkness, as it were. And I'm not sure they would be so willing to just leave it to fate that this guy just dies on his own. I think they'd want to finish him off, but that's just me. So that's why I gave it a 3 for cool factor, which does give this execution a 75%. It's a 12 out of 16. But now that we have our grade for this execution, let's factor it into the rest. Beforehand, Blackprior had an 81%, but now adding the 75%, what does it do? It keeps it at an 81%. Blackprior did not go up, but they did not go down. And to be fair, an 81% is not a bad place to be necessarily, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, 81% is where they started, and it is where they stay. So good on you, Blackprior. This was a decent execution. I just think it could have been better. Honestly, I think it would have been a lot stronger if you did that second swing at the neck or the throat, and if you didn't just have them fly from the strike, if I'm being honest. So yeah, this one could have been a bit better, but for what we got, it's not bad. It's one that I'll probably buy later once I get more steel. Next up for Medjai's X marks the corpse. Okay. Let's see that again. One more time, please. Okay. All right. All right, so, well, the head came off, and for those of you who have watched this series for a long time, you know that when the head comes off, that is a lethality of 4. They are 100% dead. You're not recovering from that. There is no Advil that will save you from a decapitation, so this person is dead. That is a 4 for lethality. For realism, now you guys know that whenever I look at realism, especially when it comes to decapitation, I scrutinize very harshly because this game seems to forget that heads don't just pop off like they're attached by just masking tape. Am I right? But in this case, I will give the realism a 3, and here's why. While it is a little skeptical, what I like here is that when Medjai strikes the neck, he has the axes move one at a time, 1, 2, and they both strike the throat in the same spot, which means that the first axe head could start the chop, and then the second axe head finishes the job. So that is a bit more believable, because one thing we got to keep in mind with taking off the head, you need one of two things. You either need a lot of speed and force, or you need repetitive blows. And that is what we're seeing here. We're seeing speed and force, true, but we're seeing a repetitive blow. We're seeing 1, 2, which I think would actually be a good way to take the head off. Now, what I think could help this is if the first strike that we see, that first strike that goes across the chest, actually struck the neck from the other angle. I think that would be the better way to do this, but that's tit for tat. I think that that was fine, so we'll give this a 3 for realism. For efficiency, I will give this a 4. This was quick. This was a very fast and efficient execution from the Medjai, and I think it went really well for the Medjai. I think it was a quick, clean kill, and you know, sometimes that is the way you want to do it and handle it, so I like that. That's a 4 for efficiency. For cool factor, I give this a 2. I give this a 2 for cool factor. Now, here's why. As effective as this is, I don't think it's that cool to watch. I don't think, because here's the reality, guys. This is something that I've said for a while about the Magi. If you're going to have this really unique staff into twin axis thing, it'd be really nice if you could emphasize that shift, like use the staff for one part of the execution, then the axe for another part of the execution. Here, it's just, I think the best way to look at it is this. Why couldn't Berserker do this execution? Why couldn't Berserker do this? What makes this uniquely Magi? Why couldn't Berserker do this? Because you know he could. I feel like I feel like there were ways to make this more fun. Like, what if instead, like, you started with the axe and then you just kind of did a swing and struck the stomach, and as they're bending over, that's when you break it in half and then strike across the neck or something like that. Like, make it work like he's using both aspects of the weapon. If you're gonna do it like that, make both aspects of the weapon useful. But honestly, with this, it's kind of like, why couldn't Berserker do that? So I gave it a 2 for cool factor, just because, nice as it is, and it is a nice execution, it doesn't scream Magi to me. It just screams, hey, this guy has twin weapons and he uses them like you would twin weapons. So that's where I sit on that. That gives this execution a 13 out of 16, which is an 81%. And now let's take a look at Magi's overall score. Magi's overall score before was an 82%, but now adding this 81% into the mix, that makes him go to 82% again. That keeps him at 82%. Just like Black Prior, he did not go up, he did not go down, he just kind of stayed where he was, which, that's fine. Again, 82% is a good place to be, and the 80s is a good place to be. I just think this execution could have been a lot better than it was. It's definitely not bad, but it just could have been a lot better than it was. So that's my stance on that one. And last for Warlord, we have Skull Assessment. Wait, really? Oh, let me see that again. Really? One more time. Really? That's it? You bashed him on the head 3 times with the pommel? Really? Okay. All right, if that's what we're doing, okay. For lethality, I mean, that's a 3. You could kill this way. You could crack the skull, damage the brain. You totally could do that with this. Striking with the pommel is an effective way to cause head damage. Problem is, it's not guaranteed. You know, there's no way of knowing that this would 100% kill. There's a good likelihood it probably would kill, and it might not kill right away. It might cause them to be knocked unconscious, and then they die later from a brain hemorrhage or from concussion. You know, there are lots of ways that you could die from this, but it is not a surefire kill, which is funny because you have a sword, you have a blade that you could use to. Imagine if you stabbed him with that sword instead of pommeling him. Okay, you know, no, we'll get to that when we get to efficiency. I'll save that. So yeah, that's a 3 for lethality. For realism, it is a 4. You could do this. There's no reason you couldn't. This is certainly realistic. Yeah, I mean, I can't say it's unrealistic. It's definitely possible. For efficiency, I'm gonna give that a 2. All right, we got to go into this. All right, so what could have made this execution better is if you pommel struck once or twice, and then as they're standing there dazed, you just impale them through the throat or through the head or through the gut or somewhere. You know, use the blade portion of your weapon. Like, I'm kind of amazed that they went with this. Okay, this isn't very efficient because you're not using the blade portion of your weapon. You know what's funny? You could have used your shield. He did use his shield. There's another Warlord execution where you do this, but with the shield, where you bash them over the head numerous times with your shield. Why are we doing it with the pommel? Why are they obsessed with making Warlord a caveman beating up people with a blunt instrument? He's got a sword. It's just not efficient. You're not even sure this killed. You're using the wrong end of the blade to do what the blade could do. That's not good. That is not good. I'm giving it a 2 only because, I mean, technically you're holding him in place for it, which is good, but otherwise it's pretty bad. And that leads us into cool factor. This is a 1. This is a 1 for cool factor. This is actually really bad. This does not fit Warlord's personality. This does not fit his overall, you know, motif. He's not using his weapon correctly, I would say. He's using it in a very odd way. He's not assuring the kill. It's... Honestly, this is a bad one. This is a pretty bad one, if I'm being real, but okay. This execution gets a 10 out of 16, which is a 63%. So now taking that 63% and adding it to the 75% that Warlord currently has, he drops to a 74%. Yeah, Warlord went down a point. Yeah, this was not good. This is a bad one, Warlord. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry to say that too, because it's been a while since you've gotten a new execution, and for you to get this after all this time, it's... this is not a good one. I'm sorry. Yeah. And that does it for all the Hero Fest this season. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. What did you think about the executions? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Let me know. And yeah, honestly, some of these were okay, but the last one was just bad. I hope that next title update we get some better ones. But hey, you know what? That's then. This is now. So thank you guys so much. And as always, I will see you in my next video. Take care.